All right, so in this section, we're going to do a bunch of videos on adding geometries, different types of geometries to our maps. So there's basically three types of geometries that we're going to be adding. There's points, lines, and polygons. So points, single thing, a line, obviously a line, and a polygon is like an area, a shape. So we're going to be looking at how to add each of these, how to get each of these, and then we're going to look at how to add them in Leaflet. And then next, we're going to go through all of them in Leaflet, and then we're going to go through all of them in MapLibra. And this is just so the concepts don't get too confusing and overlapped with each other, because they are a bit of different systems. So first of all, let's just start talking about points. So what are points? Well, points are the most basic type of geometry. It's one spot. It's a single pair of coordinates, a latitude and a longitude, or, as we learned before, a longitude-latitude. They're not always in the same order. And that's really important to remember when we're working with points, because all the geographies that we're working with, all the vector data, which is basically this data like points, lines, and polygons, is built of points. So a line is built of points. You know, you have a point here, point here, point here, point here, and you connect them all, and it's a line, right? If you're drawing a circle, you have a huge number of points that allow it to be a circle. Same with a polygon. A polygon is just a whole bunch of points that then you draw so that they're closed and that the inside has some special styling so it looks like an area. But ultimately, points are what is the basic building block for all of these different things. So understanding points is really important. We tend to see them on maps as points of interest. So like stores or addresses, or in the map I'm showing right now, like countries, there's the country. And then there's also these capital cities, and the capital cities are represented with a literal point, but also the countries, you might not think it, but they're actually being represented by a single point. And that's where their label is. So where United Kingdom is here, as I move in and out, stays in the same place because it's being represented by some kind of point that someone has said, oh, like the label for United Kingdom is best, it looks the best if we put it on that point. You can see Belgium is in a different spot here. France is kind of in the middle of France. This isn't just automatically created. There are ways to automatically create it, but it never really looks quite as good as if you pick the best spot. So these are points, and London is a point. The countries themselves are actually polygons or maybe lines, but points are really core here. We tend to see them displayed in a couple of different ways. One is as markers. We've seen markers a lot. If I drop them right there, that's a marker. There's lots of different styles of markers. You've seen them in Google Maps. They're all over the place. Markers are this big thing in general when it comes to mapping. If I come here, there's the leaflet marker. We're going to see that more in the future. So yeah, markers are one way to do it. Another way is circles. A circle is basically, I mean, we have circles here on the map. A circle is essentially a point that then has some kind of radius to it, because a single point has no area. You can't like see a point. You have to have some width to it, some radius to it, so that it's actually visible to the eye. And so a circle is just an example of that. All these different circles here, they're probably actually images of circles, but they all are a point with a certain amount of distance, so it's actually a radius. Now, the third way that we tend to see these is like we see on this map with labels. Labels or icons, which are kind of like markers, but slightly different. This more specialized, don't have to worry about it too much. But basically, markers, circles, and icons / text. Those are our three ways of showing points in general. So it's good to come to geojson.io, click around a bit, make some points, and see how they appear on the right-hand side. This is our GeoJSON, which we're going to be getting really used to as we work with geographies on the internet. We're going to be using GeoJSONs a lot. Now, they're a bit complicated, but we've done a bit of JavaScript, so we know this is like an object, and it has a bunch of different properties in it, which have sub-objects and all kinds of crazy stuff going on. But the really meaty part is that there's something called type point here, and there's some coordinates here. Those are our really core information. So the coordinates here always come in longitude, latitude. That's how they always come when it's a GeoJSON. And from this site, you're always going to get longitude and then latitude. But we're going to see that's not always how we use these points to actually show them on different mapping systems. Sometimes we're going to have to reverse them, but it's important to know that in this case they come in this way. Now, one thing to note that's kind of fun is the precision of this. So this is an actually extremely precise point. Like if I'm just trying to pick, like it's a point somewhere in Iceland and I just drop it there, you might think, oh, well, it's just some random point. So there's a cool XKCD comic about this that talks about coordinate precision and says something like, oh, once you get up to say, 6, 7 coordinates, you're pointing to a single thing on a page. Once you get up to something like 10, 12, you're pointing out a specific sand grain. Once you get up to something like 15, 20, you're pointing out individual atoms. Okay, so how many do we have when we come here? Oh my gosh, we're pointing out specific sand grains or more. So this is totally not the precision that we need. It just gives it to us because it's just mathematically just finding it based on whatever. But something important to know as you're working with databases and stuff is you don't need this many like numbers on your points. It's just not necessary. It'll cut down the data slightly, and you're giving like artificial precision. Okay, so it's not really important. Just something to know. Yeah, that's pretty much it for points. So from here on, we will now look at adding them into Leaflet, and then we'll add them later on. We'll come back around and add them to MapLibra. See you in the next one.